Hello everyone, Jordan from Poison Noises here with yet another discontinued Poison Noises shirt. This was actually one of my favorites. I don't think anybody thought it was as funny as I did. I thought about just getting like name 10 of their songs just like tattooed on my arm, but I was advised against it because people might not take it ironically. What are we doing here today? So as the thumbnail might have suggested, I'm about to show you what you can hopefully assume is a bunch of guitars that I have come to love over, God, I've been playing for what now? We're going on 20 years. That made me feel old. So yeah, these guitars I'm about to show you are the guitars that we used to make the pedals for Poison Noises, at least most of them. A couple of them were bought kind of later in the game in order to like ensure that the pedals worked on as many platforms as possible. So keep in mind, some of these are actually still relatively new to me, if you can believe that. So I haven't done as much to them as I would like to. But yeah, we're all set up in here. I got to take my keys off, like you should before you pick up any guitar. Trying something a little different with the setup, right? I actually have some of my lights set up. We're trying a lavalier mic. Hopefully the audio doesn't come out terrible. For anyone watching, you know, notice right off the bat, I'm not going to be playing any of these guitars, which sounds like the worst guitar demo ever, right? But I'm mostly just going to talk about why these are the guitars we picked to make guitar pedals with, and what I have done to them to make them a more applicable tool in the case of pedal design. So I don't really have any plan for how I want to do this yet. I know you guys can't see them because they're off screen. I got an idea with where we can start. So any guitar player should have one of these. This is your classic Fender Telecaster. I actually didn't fall in love with Telecasters until maybe, I don't know, less than 5 years ago. It took me a real long time to actually like find one that I connected with. This is a Mexican, if I'm not mistaken. It is from 95, which is what I thought. So it has, I'm not sure what the name of the pickup is, but right here in the neck, it has whatever was in my 50s Vintera, which was a Tele I ended up not loving. So I've owned two Teles before this one, and couldn't quite bite into them. I don't know what it was. I had that Vintera 50s, and then I had another Mexican that was a 98 that was in Midnight Wine. That was the color for it, and that was kind of like the big selling point to me. This is not originally what this guitar looked like at all. So right off the bat, pretty much every guitar I put these strap locks on. You know, they're the ones that everyone in the world hates besides me. I believe they're the Dunlop ones, if I'm not mistaken. That's the brand for them. Yep, which is the original strap lock. They're very, keen to putting that on the back of these for sure. But I don't know. I like them. I think I like that the button still just looks like a button on the bottom of the guitar. But I mean, the Shaler ones, I guess, look like that too. But I don't know. These just kind of do it for me. These feel secure for me, and I've never had one fall yet. This guitar is filthy. I'm almost regretting not cleaning these beforehand, but it's kind of just like same thing with like a workbench. Like, this is the cleanest my workbench has ever looked, and I know you guys can't really see it, but like, if you got a clean workbench, it means you're not making enough pedals, which is the case for me right now. But yeah, super fast maple neck. I switched the pick guard from a 3 to a 1 ply, so it's just a flat white 1 ply. And then, of course, I added some extra horsepower here. This I actually did pretty recently because I realized this one didn't have a racing stripe on it, and you're going to learn pretty quick that is not all right in my collection of guitars. So no weird electronics. Eventually, I want to do the tone pot and volume pot bypass on a push-pull. Maybe I'll even do a video of that at some point. But this has the little 59 in it, which is what I think belongs in a Tele. Just kind of makes it sound like a PAF. But yeah, that's the Telecaster. This is really the most important part about this guitar, was this particular sound. And I just wanted it in a format that was comfortable for me to play also. But this was an important thing to be able to hear in terms of pedal manufacturing. The only thing I think I might still do to it in the future is no locking tuners. What's wrong with me? I pretty much have locking tuners on all my guitars. It's really weird to see I don't have it on this one. More work to be done when I can buy some locking tuners. What do I want to hit up next? Let's see. Let's just get this one out of the way. It's not really for pedal making whatsoever, but it is just a cool guitar. This is a D15M Martin. You'll also notice it's the only one of my guitars that's not red. It's got kind of like some red looking grain in it, but it is solid mahogany back, top, and sides. No electronics in it whatsoever. This is how I like my acoustics, just a nice chunk of wood. It's really how I want them to be. Counterintuitive to the pedal process, I know, so let's move on from that one. I just kind of wanted to get that out of the way. Also, if you hear me clinking these guitars together as I move them around, please just ignore it. I'm trying my absolute hardest not to do it. But there are 7 guitars up here and not a lot of room on the rack. So let's see, what else is kind of cool? This thing's pretty rad. This was my first ever hollow body. This thing's pretty cool. This is a Coronado II. It is a 2011. By the way, if you don't have one of these chairs, you're messing up as a guitar player. Yeah, 2011, I believe, which was the only time it came in this particular finish. It does have some finish cracks in it, but it doesn't bother me for some reason with this guitar. It's almost like it's supposed to. It's got a pretty gnarly one right here. You probably can't even really see in the camera. Couple on the neck there, but this is a guitar I literally haven't touched. This is exactly the way I wanted this guitar to be when I got it, and yeah, it's pretty solid. You'll hear me clanking it around. It's got the Fidelatrons in it, which I've always known to be like the Chris Cornell pickup. And it was definitely a sound I didn't have that I felt like I kind of needed to be able to test pedals, not to mention I just needed some kind of a hollow, and I didn't have one. You know what this is missing, though? You guessed it. Big fat racing stripe right up the middle. I think I'm going to do black for it, I'm pretty sure is what I'm going to do. But this one, of course, see, that's what I'm talking about. You got to have locking tuners. You got to have the Fender locking tuners on your Fender guitars. Crafted in China. It's pretty rad, though. I'm a big fan of the big, like, fat 70s style headstock on it. That's something I really like about it. And a bound neck. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. But again, it's a pretty rad guitar. Honestly, probably the one that I play the least. Let's see here. Let's jump into a different territory. This guy is pretty rad. This was my first ever American-made instrument. I only own 3 at this current point, but this thing, I literally haven't touched at all. And that's a problem, actually, with this guitar. I don't usually like racing stripes on the sparkle finishes, but maybe we'll change that. This one's pretty gross and grimy. Like I said, I haven't cleaned any of these, but it is a really rad guitar. So it is a PJ configuration Jag bass, 2014, this thing. By the way, I'm pretending like I know the years for all these. I only know the years for a few of them. I'm definitely just checking the very easy to read Fender serial code on the back. If you don't know how to do that, plenty of videos how to do that. It's really easy to discern a whole lot about Fenders just by the serial number. They're actually really good about that. But yeah, USA made. PJ configuration. It's got the active switch on it. I actually don't use it in the active position like at all. I might test like a pedal real quick with it. Again, it's like this is specifically for, you know, bass focus stuff. That being said, we do test all of the pedals through basses also, but I really probably only push the active stuff and really play with that if we're making like a bass focus pedal. And I know we haven't really done a lot of those in years, but even things like the Crook, where I know like a lot of people used it on bass, I kind of put a lot of time into that. And I did own this bass when we made the Crook. A lot of these guitars I didn't own. I didn't own that Tele. I didn't own that Coronado. This was a pre-Crook purchase. This could use, maybe I'll do a video on this when I change it. This could use a black pick guard and maybe a black racing stripe. I never really know where to put it on the offsets. Maybe it could just be like a stripe this way. We'll see. That could be a whole nother video. And the most confusing pickup switching system in the world that I can never remember what is what, even if you had a gun to my head. So, but yeah, this thing's great. Locking tuners. We're going to talk about it again. That's the topic of a lot of these instruments, obviously. I've never needed them on bass. I've looked into doing the hip shot thing to be able to like flick this and drop it into drop D before, but I'm not playing a lot of drop D these days, and that's what you call growing up. That's what that is. But same Dunlop strap button, you know, locking strap locks on it that I have on everything. It's a through body for the strings. It's pretty rad. It's in really good shape too. I've never changed the battery on this, not even one time. Like I said, pretty much don't use the electronics ever. Let's put this guy here. All right, let's work our way down to some of the more interesting things. To me, at least, I say interesting, but this is my newest one, and I've done a little bit of work to it. This is the new Vintera VI. This is my least read electric instrument. This is what they call Fiesta Red now, and they are wrong. This is like Frank's Red Hot, you know, like tomato soup, something. It's, I think it's supposed to be what like Fiesta Red fades into. And I had a really cool conversation over at Anderton's with those guys about why people have like different like perspective on what a faded Fiesta Red looks like. And so it turns out between the 50s and the 60s, they used different color foil underneath for the Fiesta Red. It was either gold or silver. So they kind of aged like differently in color, you know, like they looked more pink or more orange when they faded, which is a really interesting thing. This might be the first guitar I actually have professionally repainted. It might be that. I found a really cool one also when I was out there across the pond where I went to Hank's, and they had one of the old pawn shop ones that had like the painted headstock and everything. This does not have the painted headstock. And it was like just a little bit more used than one of these was new, but it was really just I didn't want to fly with it. That was kind of the biggest problem for me with that. Otherwise, it's pretty cool. I mean, I really like the way it sounds. I really like the way it plays. It's a very interesting instrument to try and make guitar pedals with. No racing stripe on this. I have one set aside for it already. It's just like I said, I might repaint this guitar, so I don't really want to waste a racing stripe on it yet, especially if I'm going to have it professionally painted. I'll just have them paint the racing stripe on it, which I think makes way more sense. Big locking tuners on this one. This one I actually used Godos, and the reason I did that is actually because they are... These come stock with really bad tuners, and it's not just the Vintera ones. It's pretty much every bass six that's like ever existed in history comes with really bad tuners, and they don't hold well. These got recommended by like a bunch of people on the gear page for whatever that's worth. It's a locking system that like actually has a big enough hole to fit the gauge of string you need for a bass six, because obviously the gauges are much bigger. I don't know exactly what they are because I haven't changed the strings on this since I actually had Peter over at Collar City, who you've probably heard me mention before. I had him change these out for me, probably in exchange for some pedals. That's usually the way that works. So yeah, what does it need? It needs Dunlop strap locks. It needs a racing stripe, maybe a new color, but it's already got the functionally most important part, which are these locking tuners right here. So, all right, that's 5 of the 7. We're really cooking here now, which is good. I was worried this was going to take me a long time because I have a lot to say about my guitars. This one's really important. Let me grab this guy. I've talked about this one in videos before. This is the first generation of the Troy Van Leeuwen signature Jazzmaster. These are Mexican made, but it's the best bang for your buck you're ever going to get out of a Mexican made Jazzmaster. It is. I'll put it up against pretty much any American one I've ever played. It's got these really sick witch hat knobs on it. The color is ox blood red. So this is still a red guitar. It might look black to the untrained eye, but no, all of my electric's still red somehow. Somehow I've made that. I actually originally made that rule so that I didn't spend too much money on guitars when I was working at Guitar Center. I was like, it has to be red. You have no idea how many guitars that has made me turn down. So, but I added this big cream racing stripe on it recently, which is really rad. The coolest thing about this guitar, to me at least, is that you can use this is like, one, they changed out the rhythm treble circuit thing with a big like meaty Fender amp switch is what it feels like. And you can like roll the volume all the way down. I already had the volume rolled all the way down on it. And you can kind of do that Tom Morello choppy thing. And it works really, really well on this. And you can still get like the regular, bridge neck switch thing here. But this right here is like, it's like the best feeling I've ever had on that before. And the racing stripe almost perfectly matches the cream hardware. All the cream stuff for Fender is like slightly different colors. It's like, these are like, they're not the antiquity, the vintage soap. I can't remember what they call these things. They're rad though. They're like my favorite pickup I've ever had on a Jazzmaster. A lot of my favorite guys use them. It's got the cool bound neck. This one does have the locking strap lock buttons on it. Aside from my bass 6, the only thing I ever, put a trem arm on whatsoever, and it has that cool like locking system here where you can kind of like adjust the tension of the bridge as you do that. I actually only discovered that with this guitar. But you know what this guitar does need is, again, they're not on there. Why aren't they on there? Why don't I have locking tuners on this? That's a problem. If any guitar needed it. I do have the Mastery bridge on this, which was a hell of an upgrade. One of the most expensive upgrades I've ever put into a single piece for a guitar, which is pretty funny. But it is worth it. I noticed immediately a huge difference in the way that the trem system worked in this guitar once I added that. So believe the hype. That's actually probably worth the money. I would say it is definitely worth the money. But yeah. That's what really makes this guitar special, and why it's one of the last ones I'm showing, is this was the guitar I used to make the original crook. I actually made a lot of the original Poison Noises pedals with it, but definitely the crook with this one. And now Troy Van Leeuwen is in possession of a crook. So that's my full circle story that I tell all the time when people ask me what it's like owning a pedal company. And those are like the win moments, those are the ones that make it fun and exciting. So that's that guy. Put that one up here. And then this one right here that I'm about to show is actually the guitar I play 90% of the time. I feel like if we're honest with ourselves, we all have one of those. But it's this thing, which was my third ever American-made instrument I ever owned. And it is a 2000, I know the year on this one, is a 2000 American Strat Standard. There is pretty much nothing stock about this thing. Obviously, the extra horsepower here, the big Fender locking tuners on it. Love those. The strap buttons are here. Like, this one's going to be complete. This one's actually going to have all the things I said it needed to have on it. I slam this bridge down. Like, there is no space between the guitar and the bridge there. I don't whammy this thing at all. Still the regular 5-way configuration, but this has a couple of weird things, and this is my pedal testing workhorse. Like, this guitar makes pedals. That's what this thing does. It's got the most smooth, buttery neck I've ever had on a Strat, and it kind of, invigorated my love for this era of Fender, which is like turn of the century. I'd say even like 95 into like 04, maybe 03 is like when they pretty much everything I've ever played from that era has been awesome. Originally, I just had a normal layout with Fat 50s all the way through. Fat 50 custom shop Strat pickups are like, that's what a Strat is supposed to sound like to me. Like, that is the sound of an American Stratocaster. But even still, the only place I ever really played it was in the bridge position. This is like how I start designing all of the Poison Noises pedals, with that pickup. So I could never change that. Then I wanted a super distortion because I needed a high gain output humbucker. And it's the only guitar pickup I've ever put in the middle of this thing where I've been like, yeah, that's where it belongs, which is crazy to think about because that middle quacky position on a Fender Strat is like my least favorite sound in the entire world. But the super distortion like does the thing there. And then here is a little JB, which like that is the like blues neck position sound that that are on like all my favorite records. With these two, you can also kind of do the Nirvana thing, which is rad. But obviously, you can see that there's a bunch of weird stuff on here, right? So it's not set up traditionally like a Strat would or should be. What's funny is this one looks the cleanest, even though it's the one I definitely play the most. But so I moved the volume knob down here, right? And that's just so I'm not karate chopping it when I'm playing it, because I play the heck out of this guitar. But it does this cool thing where it has a pull pot on it that when you do that, it engages the neck pickup. Now, why did I wire it that way? One, because I can't keep my hands to myself and I need to do things to my guitars 24/7 just to see if I like them. And that does a really cool thing where if I want to put it here with these two pickups on, now it'll also engage that and I can actually have all three pickups on at the same time. Or if I have it down here, I can do like the Steve Vai thing where it splits just these two pickups. Now, again, that kind of configuration is usually more for like a single coil thing, right? Like two single coils, like spaced like as far apart as they can be on the guitar. So that's why I have these switches. Now these are actually, they're so small. I don't even know if you can see them. They're these like tiny, tiny little mini toggles, sub mini toggles that I actually use for like making guitar pedals. Like they don't belong on a Strat whatsoever, but they do split, series, and parallel for this pickup and this pickup. And I actually have this one here and that one there, which I know seems counterintuitive, but it like makes sense in my head for some reason. This is the one I split around the most and do weird things with. This one I pretty much always run in series. That's pretty much how it's always on. So you can get a lot of sounds out of this guitar. Now, why would I do this to a guitar when I clearly have like so many other on the walls that I could get like similar sounds out of? Because it's just so much better just like have this like, what does it sound like this? What does it sound like this? And just kind of like swap through. And that's like what this guitar is for. I love this guitar. I don't have names for any of my guitars. If I ever was going to name one, it'd probably be this guitar. I bury me with this one. I could probably never get rid of it. Even if I went homeless, I would be homeless with this guitar. That's how it would happen, even if I didn't own an amplifier. But yeah, this thing is really a masterpiece in terms of pedal building. Like it's so rad. I do think the neck is finally maxed out. I don't think I can turn the truss any farther. It actually has a little bit of a twist in the neck too, but I put hybrid slinkies on it to try and make it go the other way. It hasn't started going the other way yet, but it hasn't gotten any worse. So that's kind of, I think I'm just going to play those until I got to figure out what the heck I'm doing with this thing. But I love this guitar so much. But yeah, that is all of the guitars we use currently to make Poison Noises pedals. Now, there's been some other ones in the past, none that even really come to mind. Particularly, I had those two Tellys like I talked about. I had like a Les Paul Studio from 2011. That didn't last very long. Can't really love a Gibson. I've never really been able to. Maybe I just haven't found the right one yet. I had like a little... who was it? A Hohner guitar. It was like the Marty McFly guitar that he like blasts himself through the through like Doc Brown's workshop with. I had that in red though, not the yellow color, because obviously it had to be red. That was a great throw around guitar for just does this pedal work. But nothing does it better than this thing. And right now I don't think I want to get rid of any, which is a cool feeling. There's a couple of things I'd like to have. I might just have to bite the bullet and get like an SG and a Les Paul, because as much as I try to trick my amps into thinking I'm doing that with some of these Fenders, it just doesn't. And I'm a proud owner of a Marshall amp now, which means you have to own a Gibson. That's a rule. That's a rule that comes with them when you buy them. Even when you buy them used, someone comes and knocks on your door to check every once in a while. It's like a census for guitars. Thanks so much for watching me ramble about my favorite things that I own. Maybe I'll do one for the amplifiers if you guys are at all interested in me doing more stuff like this. If you guys really want to hear what they sound like, I better see a lot of comments about it, because I am not that guy. I'm going to have to become that guy soon for pedal demos. I already know it, but I'm just not that guy who plays for YouTube. I just am not. That being said, please like and subscribe. Do all the kitschy YouTube stuff. I'd love to talk about the amps also if that's something you guys want to see. But yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time.